Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, a joint session between the partnership of Bitrise and Appdome. Today's session is titled The Blueprint for Cyber Defense Automation, and really excited to present this first in our partnership between Bitrise and Appdome, where we will show you how to build, test, release, and monitor all your mobile app protections. So in a moment, we'll just be going through the speaker intros so you can learn a little bit more about myself and Karen, who's also on the call. And then we'll be covering the blueprint for cyber defense automation, which will cover an outline of the opportunity, why this is good, cover somewhat of the challenge, why historically this has been difficult for orgs to, or DevOps teams to overcome, and then show you our solution. We'll talk through the top level implementation of the solution, and we'll be giving you a deeper dive into a demo. And then right at the end, we'll be illustrating the benefits for cyber defense teams and for mobile DevOps teams working together. Throughout the session, you can contact us at bitrise.io/contact, and we'll also have some contact details on our last slide in order for you to get through to us at Appdome. And then also during the webinar, we'll be asking you a few simple questions just to keep you engaged in a few polls that we'll be sharing as we go through the course of the webinar. Okay, cool. So a little bit about me. My name's Jen. Hello. I'm a Bitrise Enterprise Solutions Consultant. I've been at Bitrise now for about 18 months. I previously came from Google after a 10-year span there. My main role is to increase customers' DevOps maturity by matching their business and engineering challenges to the product and feature functionality we have at Bitrise. And as you can probably hear from my accent, you can hear that I'm from London, but I'm currently living in the Netherlands. And with that, I'll hand over to Karen.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jen. Very excited to be here. I am the SVP of Mobile DevOps and Security Solutions at Appdome. Have been in the industry for over 25 years in a number of roles and types of companies, including starting my own fraud monitoring company, which led us to and became part of Appdome, and focused on security and cyber defense. As you can tell from my accent, I'm based here in the US and in California.
So a little bit about Bitrise and Appdome. If you're not familiar with Bitrise, we're a CI/CD platform exclusively for mobile use case, and we're mobile first and mobile centric. We cover all mobile platforms, obviously Android and iOS and all cross-platform alternatives. Predominantly, we focus on making available hosted runners with all the tooling you'd need for the mobile environment. But we're soon to release an option known as Bitrise Agent, which will be available either through AWS or on-premise runners. And about Bitrise, we have 400 out-of-the-box steps specifically for mobile, and I'll be giving you like a little taste or a rundown of what those steps look like. And we're very pleased and proud to announce that Appdome is now included as one of those steps in our step library. Over to you, Karen.
And we're Appdome. Thanks, Jen. We are focused on mobile, which makes us so excited about this partnership in particular, since Bitrise and Appdome are focused on mobile and defending defending the app and providing protections in the cyber defense platform, specifically for mobile, for Android, iOS, and doing that through security protections, anti-fraud protections, anti-bot protections, anti-malware, anti-cheat, and so forth. And so we have over 150 protections that organizations can choose from, and we'll be excited to show you how that works today.
So at Bitrise, part of our product development and ethos is based around what we call the mobile DevOps value pillars. You'll see them on the slide here. So we're very focused on IT ops automation, workflow management, CI and test automation, app release management, and insights and reporting. But today, the primary focus of the value pillar that we want to cover is automating security remediation. And that's really where our partnership with Appdome comes in. So I don't know, Karen, if you want to mention a few words about that.
Yes, thank you. So we are very excited because this security remediation is unique and different from other security partnerships that Bitrise has and other security tools that organizations have. We understand that many organizations use pen testing or they have scanning tools, and those are all important aspects of security. But that means once the vulnerabilities are identified, somebody, a developer, has to fix them. There isn't an automated remediation solution, which is what Appdome provides. And that complements all the other things that you may be doing for security, but addressing that really critical piece and the element that developers usually don't have a lot of, which is time. And so being able to automate remediation is what we're focused on, so that you can deliver mobile app protections with less work and not only zero complexity, but also a better user experience.
So the next couple of slides are really around the value proposition, both of CI and CD to mobile DevOps teams, and also defense automation to cyber security teams. So what we're really trying to highlight here is that each one of these value propositions is a very strong candidate in its own right, but together, when they're automated and built together, the value proposition is greater than the sum of its parts, and why it's so important. Yeah, automated CI/CD. So you might be familiar with this, but the ultimate ambition of any output team is to build and release fast to achieve a reliable and frequent release schedule. And this includes the stages that you see here. So where it's building, testing, releasing, monitoring, measuring, etc. Projects have complex tasks and dependencies, and apps need to be in a constant state of integration and delivery. The benefits to teams of CI and CD are really around ease of use and less firefighting, less context switching, and really it's about automating tedious tasks to take that burden off the DevOps team so they can focus on the things that they really enjoy doing and are valuable at doing, which is more time spent coding. And that's the benefit to teams. On the business side of things, the benefits to business are it allows a greater confidence in the release schedule, meaning that new features ship faster and create happy users, which is basically a virtuous cycle between having more app impact, better rankings, more installs, less churn, and ultimately more ROI. So the benefits that the CI/CD system bring are both to the teams in terms of developer happiness and productivity, but also in terms of the app's business outcomes and goals. Over to you, Karen.
And so layering in to that CI/CD is defense automation with Appdome. And that means we're able to secure releases without coding or having developers use SDKs in that reliable, frequent schedule that Jen just talked about. And to do that, there are 3 steps. First of all, being able to build secure apps, and that means choosing from 150 in-app protections and being able to automate those builds with those protections in the CI/CD pipeline. So those are in-app protections and API protections. Certifying that those protections have been added so that the release team has documentation and proof that the protections have been added to the apps. And then finally, when the apps are in production, teams are able to see live attacks on the mobile apps so they can decide which protections they want to build in next and start this process all over again. And so the benefit to teams is, first of all, the development team doesn't have that learning curve. They don't have to code in specific fixes. They don't have to learn how to use SDKs to achieve the cyber objectives. The cyber team has a control center, and they're able to defend and respond to any attack. And finally, organizations as a whole have total security, anti-fraud, anti-malware, and anti-bot, and overall threat protections. And so the benefits are very clear. Not only are you able to consolidate costs and reduce losses and time, but you're also able to increase advocacy. And this is something we have found in multiple reports that we've issued on consumer preferences. And in these reports, what we found is mobile consumers expect security, and they will promote brands that protect them. And that means either liking them on social media or writing positive reviews. Now, on the other hand, these same mobile consumers say they will churn. They will stop using apps that don't protect them, and they will tell their networks to stop using those apps. So security is increasingly important to mobile consumers, and also a reason why mobile consumers would advocate for the brands that protect them. So herein lies the challenge, and that is when security and developers come together to solve this problem of how do we build in secure features, there is conflict. And that conflict stems from the challenges of building in features as well as the security features. And that starts with mobile-specific features such as in-app purchasing and other features that make mobile apps sticky. The features that are the reasons why we all use mobile apps on a daily basis. Now, building in those complex features is only complicated or exacerbated by the massive deployment scope required. Many different development frameworks that have to be supported, whether it's Kotlin, Xamarin, Maui, and others, as well as the many different operating systems. And then on top of that, you have a lot of connectivity issues and API connections that have to be protected. At Black Hat a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to an organization that supports payments for airlines. So if they don't work, then we aren't able to fly. And what they found, unfortunately, was one of their mobile API connections was not protected and being exploited by hackers. And as a result, they had a lot of problems that they only realized until later. So mobile developers have a challenge protecting a lot of features within the app, and also in addition to the features, protecting the sensitive data in the app, whether it's API keys, tokens, or other personally identifiable information. So there are a lot of challenges that then become exposed or exacerbated in the DevOps process. So let's look at where these challenges are specifically and the conflict points that are created, starting with security device scanning. And so this is where I think it's a very important part of the process, scanning, and we've talked about how many organizations do this. But the challenge is in addressing when there is a problem, when a scan finds a vulnerability, what to do next. And this is a point where organizations decide, do we ask developers to go and refactor the code to make the fixes, the changes that are required, but then that could potentially delay the next release or delay the release or waiver the issue away, which then only exacerbates the problem in deployment where the app is now at greater risk. So this is one issue. And so at this point, I wanted to just pause for a second and switch over to the polling questions. And first understand, before we go on, what is your role in the organization? And if those of you could take some time to answer that. Great. So as we see here, most of you appear to be in the mobile development engineering role, and then after that, about DevOps, security, and head of mobile engineering are tied. Okay, great. And then want to do another poll, and that is, do you use scanning tools given what we just talked about? And so the questions there are, do you use pen tester scanning tools? Do you use SAST, DAST? Do pen test 1 to 3 times a year or more? Do you have a SIM vendor? And it looks like about half of you are not using scanning tools. The other half are doing a combination of SAST and DAST, as well as pen testing, and some of you, and a few of you have SIM vendors as well. Okay, great. So thank you for that. So that's helpful. And going back to then our presentation here, this takes us to sorry. This takes us to the second part, which is, while security and scanning is important. There's a conflict point there, like we just described. The second part where this conflict point arises, or another conflict point arises, is in deployment or in production. And so this is where you're monitoring. And so some of you said you have SIM tools or other tools, or you're doing another pen test and you're monitoring for live attacks or your vulnerabilities. And this is where you find another issue. And that issue then has to be again addressed by development, and development has to decide, do we fix this, which could potentially delay the release. So all of these conflict points that we just talked about lead to or create this inherent sort of strain between, or this conflict between cyber and dev when protecting mobile apps. Cyber is saying, hey, we need security, we need defense, we need to block these attacks, prevent these hackers from coming in, and comply with the many regulations that we need to comply with. And developers are saying, we need to automate, we need to deliver these releases on time, we need velocity, agility. And that leads to this inherent conflict, which Bitrise and Appdome resolve. And our focus here today to talk to you about is this partnership that resolves these traditional conflicts, resolves this tension between cyber and dev. And this is how we do it. We do it through automated CI/CD cyber events. So this means we have automated remediation within your CI/CD system, within Bitrise, so that mobile DevOps and cyber teams can work together. And to pull us out and illustrate further, what this means is in your Bitrise CI/CD, you can, as you're building in the features, build in the security as well, or those security features, then certify those features are in the app. And then when the app is in production, monitor in real time attacks and threats so that you're able to identify the protections that need to be added next, and then start that process all over again and building in those protections in an automated way. And so what we'll do next is show you how you can do this in a demonstration in 3 parts. The first part of the demonstration will be to show you how you can build in those protections in an automated way, which is creating a security configuration. Then Jen will take that security configuration and use that in the Bitrise workflow to show you how you can automate those protections in as part of the Bitrise workflow. And then finally, I'll show you how you can monitor in real time the attacks and threats on your app so that you can identify the threats that you need to protect from and automate that again all over and start that process. So at this point, I'm just going to go and share my demo. Okay, good. So this is the Appdome interface, the Appdome GUI. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you everything through this user interface. Now, if you're a developer, you'll likely use our APIs. So just bear in mind, everything I'm showing you can be done through an API. So just to orient you to the screen, on the left-hand side, you'll see a number of apps. These are the apps that you load, and you can load an IPA, APK, AAB file. And once you do that, you can begin building the protections in. And that's what you see on the right-hand side of the screen. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you see that I have a fusion set called the Bitrise demo. So this is the security configuration. Now remember that because Jen's going to use the same security configuration in his part of the demo where he's showing you how you can use the security configuration in the Bitrise workflow. Now in this configuration, what I have the option to do is select from a number of security and anti-fraud features. So let's say you have a pen test where you find out that your API keys are in the clear. Well, this is a situation where you likely will want to encrypt those API keys, and you can encrypt as part of that an option, which is called encrypting strings. You can also encrypt in-app preferences and other options that you see here. Now, I saw that there were a number of wonderful people from different organizations joining our call, including retail and other retail and healthcare organizations. So I'll go through some of the features that other industries may want to see. So as we go through, there are, like I said, over 150 different protections. Some of these other protections, including OS level protection, so Android root protection, jailbreak for iOS apps. You also have secure communication, or really preventing from man-in-the-middle attacks. And this is something that we've seen is important for a number of industries, say those with IoT-related apps, as well as any healthcare related app, and protecting really the connection between the app and the backend server is critical. So this is man-in-the-middle protection, so you can toggle it on and off if you need it. And then we have a number of mobile privacy protections so that you can prevent copy paste, app sharing, as well as code obfuscation to protect the code from reverse engineering, as well as what all our apps have protections of, and that is anti-debugging, anti-tampering, anti-emulator, so preventing the app from being run on emulators. And so when you're done, you just build my app, and then that'll secure the app. Now, I just wanted to show a couple more things in the fraud tab here. And for those of you in retail, where account takeovers and specifically synthetic fraud is an issue, things like preventing auto clickers is hugely important so that you can prevent keystroke injection, invalid traffic, stop attackers from creating fake events, fake apps, and all these fake accounts, and as well as the use of ADB, which is a tool that hackers often use to get into apps. And so all of these features, again, you can just hit the selection button here, and that'll then add that particular feature. Now, when you're done with adding your features, you hit Build My App, and what Build My App does is build those protections that you've selected into your app. And so Appdome doesn't change the source code of your app. Appdome is adding the protections to the binary, the app binary. And this is because Appdome has a microservices architecture, is leveraging a microservices architecture with thousands of different plugins. And the platform, this AI-based patented technology that we have, is looking at the features of your app, what frameworks, what development frameworks were used, what methods were used, and looking at the specific security protections or features that you want to add, and figuring out what is the optimal combination that's actually matching the plugins to the features that you have in the most optimal way. And in so doing, Appdome will do its best to figure out how to optimize the size of your app. And in some cases, when adding these features, will actually reduce the size of the app, and you'll see that in the certified secure document we'll show you at the end. Now, all the while Appdome is doing this work, it is telling you what it's doing. And so I know it might be a little hard to read, but what you might see here is, what Appdome is doing, if you can see it clearly, and it's saying, I'm adding your selections to your app. I know some connections and calls and adjustments. Let me take care of that for you. And it's looking to encrypt 100% of your app strings. And that's based on the selection that we made for encryption. It's checking app integrity, and it is encrypting key logical elements and doing the obfuscation that we've asked for. So all these things are happening as your app is being protected by Appdome. As you can see, there's no coding required. There's no SDK required. All this is being added, all the protections have been added to your mobile app without a developer having to change the code or understand what needs to be changed in terms of the code. So when it's done, what you can see is in the certified secure document, which I'll go to right now, the apps, the protections have been added to the app. And you can see I added this app. I secured it with this Bitrise demo fusion set, which is that security configuration that we spoke about. And these are the features that we added. We added encryption, we added the anti-debugging, anti-tampering, and obfuscation. And this is proof then to your release team that the app has been protected in the way you said it was supposed to be protected according to compliance or regulations. So at this point, I'll conclude the first part of our demonstration, which is showing you how to create the security configuration in an automated way, and then hand that over to Jen so he can show you how you can use this security configuration in an automated way in the Bitrise workflow.
Great, thank you, Karen. Just going to share my screen. Cool. So hopefully some of you are already aware of Bitrise and using it. For those who aren't, welcome to the Bitrise platform. Obviously, there's a lot in here, and we're very excited about it, and our customers are delighted to use it. We often hear a great user experience. So if you'd like a demo at any stage, just get in touch with us at the details at the end. But what I'll be covering now is really showing you how to incorporate the cyber defense mechanisms and certifications that Karen just walked through, and how to incorporate that into your CI and CD workflows. So let's get started and have a look at how we can do that. So over on the left, right-hand side here, sorry, we have the different app projects that I've got working. I've got one in particular for Appdome Android. So let's go ahead and click on that, and then check out some of the workflows that are available. And I think the first thing we'll do is take you to the workflow editor, because that really is the heart of the Bitrise system. So the workflow editor really consists of a series of steps, which are a series of scripts which are executed in a logical order. And every time you upload a project to Bitrise, it will give you a couple of default options just to get you started. So the default deploy workflow for Android, for example, looks like this. The first step is to activate an SSH key. Then we clone the repository. Then we do a number of Android-specific steps, including installing missing components, running tests, and then finally building the project and deploying to Bitrise. And building this workflow is really intuitive. You can do it through the UI. You also have the option of using YAML configuration should you wish, or via a CLI. But what I want to show you today is how easy it is to pull in the Appdome step and get you started with your cyber defense. So let's go have a look at a simple workflow. Here we have a pretty simple workflow, and now we want to build that out to build our project and to get the project certified with Appdome security. So let's click on this button, and this then opens up the step library. So as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the call, we have over 400 steps in our step library, all focused on the mobile use case. We categorize them in terms of functionality. So we have test, deploy, notification, utility. And really adding a step or a functionality to the workflow is as simple as making a quick search in the library. So for example, we can choose to run UI tests for Android in this case, or a very popular step is to send Slack notifications when a workflow has completed. So you can send that to your teams to let them know that that's done. And in the event that that we don't have a step configured to what you need to do, we also have a custom script step, which you can then incorporate into your workflow and get it to do anything that you want to do. In this case, what we want to do is finish off our build for Appdome. So what I'm going to do here is install missing Android components, add the build step, which will build our project, and finally add the new integration with Appdome, which is done as easily as that. And that's as really as easy as it is to include the steps to build your workflow, and to also include the Appdome security protocols in here. There's one final thing that we need to do, and that is to configure the steps according to the configuration that Karen showed you earlier. So I'll just quickly save this workflow and show you how that's done. So there's a number of input variables in our configuration pane. The first configuration to add is to add the app file URL. Then we're going to add the Fusion set ID, which, if you remember, is the security configuration for the app that Karen showed you earlier. So we'll drop that in. Team ID we can leave blank. Signing method will be private in this case, and Google Play signing will be false. At this stage, I'll save that, and then lastly there's one thing to do, which is to add our secrets for the workflow, which will be our Appdome API key, which is I've already put in at this stage, and also add our sign fingerprint ID. So that's also in there as well. And whoops, let's leave that. Once you've then configured that, your workflow should then look like this, and it's a simple case of clicking Run Workflow, and that will go ahead and run each of these steps, build our project, and get it certified as per Appdome. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was some of the outputs of what happens when you run that workflow. So let's go and take a look at that. So here's a workflow with Appdome security that I ran earlier. I'm going to click on that. And what we have here is the log of that particular workflow. So as you can see, it's gone through each of these particular steps. And if we look at the log for the Appdome step, it then gives us an idea of the outputs and all the configuration around that. And then similarly, we deployed to Bitrise. And if you click on the Artifacts tab, you can then get a copy of the APK and download it here. And just to tie off with what Karen showed you earlier, you can also download the certificate. And hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it's in the same tab. And here we see the certification that Karen kind of walked through earlier. The app was added by Karen. The app secured by this particular Fusion set. And then it goes through the rest of the configuration that Karen showed you earlier there. So hopefully you get a feeling of how easy it is to then set your configuration in Appdome and then add that configuration in your CI/CD workflows on the Bitrise side. Back to you, Karen, I think.
Yes, thank you, Jen. And so I wanted to answer one of the questions that Freddie had, because that actually ties just to what you showed, Jen, right now, which is what is the actual output? And so what Appdome and Bitrise are outputting in what Jen just showed you of the step there is the artifact, two artifacts, really. One is the secured app, which is a secured APK, IPA, AAB file with the, added binary codes, of the binary that has the protections in it. And those protections are to address the security vulnerabilities. And the second thing, so that's one artifact, is the secured app. And the second thing is the report, which is the certified secure document that says that these protections have added. So it is not a report for developers to decide what to do, because the secured app has those protections in it. And that is the savings that you get as a developer, is you don't have to worry about having to build the code, create the code, build the app with those protections, right? You have that, those protections already in the app. And so at this point, I wanted to switch gears and turn over to the last part of the presentation, and that is to show you our certified secure document, our threat scope, which is where you will see, and can anyone see this? I just had some issues before with the, okay, just wanted to make sure everyone can see this and nothing's blocked. Apologies for that. And so what you're seeing here is a view of the app now in production. So what we showed you earlier in the early part of the demo was, first, how to create that security configuration, second, how to call it from Bitrise so you can automate that process. And then now we're looking at the app in production, and you're monitoring for live attacks and live threats. So what's exciting here is you're actually seeing, and this is a demo account, so you're seeing the live attacks on this demo app that we have, where those attacks are coming from, and how you can address them. And so in this view here, what you're looking at is a number of live attacks in the US and other parts of the world being highlighted. You're seeing down here the threats in red that have not been addressed, as well as in green, the threats that have been protected against, which is what Appdome is doing in green. And when you click on, for example, the threats here, what you can see are all the threats that the app is not being protected against. And this now gives you that prioritized list of the things that you might want to consider adding in protections for in your next release. So, for example, there are a number of attacks from Android Debug Bridge, as well as jailbreak bypass tools. And this is where you can, when you're going back to configuring your protections, you're able to, within Appdome, for the next set of apps that you want to build, add those protections in. And so, like we saw before, there are a number of protections for Android Debug Bridge, as well as jailbreak and root detection, which you can add here, and it's a simply click of a button or call that API and you can build. So this is a way you can start that process all over again, and security teams can have that continuous security that is required. So not only building in protections into the app, but making sure that as the app is in production and in deployment, that the app continues to be protected from new threats and attacks. And so at this point, I do want to go back to the polls for a second and ask our audience a few more questions. I'm going to stop sharing. And please, if you could ask any questions in the chat, we will be answering them as we go along. Now, a few of the questions that we want to understand is in terms of actually, I'm not sure if I can go back to, okay. Okay, so I think maybe we are not able to launch the polls anymore. Sorry, apologies. We'll go to the questions right now. And I wanted to make sure we go back to some of the questions we had in terms of, does Appdome have any library we can include in the app to detect jailbreak and root detection? Yes, that's what we showed at the very end. We have the ability to not only detect jailbreak and root, but we can also detect and block jailbreak and root bypass. Okay. And so going back to the poll, yes, Christine, if you could help us launch a poll. We're looking to understand what type of mobile app organizations have on this call. And if you could launch that one, and then also launch, does your organization currently use Bitrise as a CI/CD? Okay, so what are you currently using? Do you have mobile app security, anti-fraud, and other app defenses? Thing right now. Okay, so it's a split between there are half of those of you who don't have anything and those of you who have some things. Okay, we can end that poll. And then the second one, Christine, if you could share, would be, are they using Bitrise? Okay. And so are you currently using Bitrise? Great. It looks like all of you are using Bitrise today. That's awesome. Or most of you are. A few of you are using another CI/CD technology. Okay, great. So all of this is, and some of you are not using a third-party vendor, which is also awesome because you can consider the combination of Bitrise and Appdome. Okay, so at this point, we'll go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. And can you all see my screen now? Are you able to see the screen, Jen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah, so we just wanted to summarize what we see, what we talked about today with the demo. First of all, we were able to show you how to secure your apps with a number of different protections, how you can automate the security, the building in or the delivery of secure apps with Bitrise, and then finally how you can monitor live attacks on your deployed apps. And so I want to hand this over to Jen right now to describe the benefits.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So, so it's Bitrise's mission to increase the impact of apps on society, and our customers' key benefits from that is really being able to build, test, and deploy in an automated way, such that they're able to invest more time and energy into the development of the app and having more impact in the app with their users and their customers. So, I'll allow you to read the stats on the screen, but really this is just to point out that Bitrise can bring, big savings in terms of time from both the performance of our platform and the build speeds that you get, but also the ease of use and the automation that we bring. But really, it's more than that. It's more about the whole mobile development environment in terms of building, testing, automating, and now including cyber defense. So we're pretty confident that the customers that we have really enjoy using the platform for a variety of reasons. And really, it's about building a top-notch mobile experience, both for the development team, the business teams, and the end user. And I think what I'm trying to describe here is that it's great to use Bitrise as a mobile CI/CD, but really what we're trying to demonstrate today with this partnership is that it's really seamless and easy to include cyber defense into your CI/CD workflows. And with that, I'll hand back to you, Karen.
Great. And so our customers likewise are excited to be using the platform, and given everyone is a Bitrise user today, this will go hand in hand with what you have just heard and know. So Appdome adds to what you get with Bitrise by providing a security platform that is codeless. You don't have to add in any code. You don't have to use a SDK. You're able to use, number one, this platform to add in security without having to code. The second thing all our customers tell us is that they're able to add the security in a modular and agile way, meaning they select the features they want. They don't have to add in all the features at the first go, and they're able to grow with their security needs, and we are able to grow with them through this platform, through our security platform, and they're able to choose, how they want to do it. The third thing that customers expect and want is an all-in-one security platform, and that's what they get with Appdome and with Bitrise together. So now you have this security platform in your CI/CD, so you can configure all the security features that you want from the security platform, as well as see the live attacks after the app has been deployed, so you know what new security features to add in. So that all-in-one platform is really critical, and is what makes the Appdome and Bitrise partnership unique. So just to summarize, what this means for mobile dev and for security is you get less work. There isn't a learning curve. There's a need to code or use SDKs to achieve cyber objectives. You get that continuous security. Security teams have that control center. They have that benefit from years of research that Appdome has on cyber defense teams. So developers who go reach out to your security teams about this new capability and this new benefit so that your apps, the apps that you built, are protected against fraud, malware, cheats, and other attacks. And finally, you're able to have this full cyber automation and platform integrated within Bitrise so that you can automatically build protections for each and every release. And there are a few helpful links here. And so as you go through, we'll share this presentation and you can go through these links and see how the integrations actually work. The report that Jen referred to, Bitrise Security, as well as the report that I referred to on Appdome in terms of global consumers. There are all links here for you to get those reports as well as our blogs. And so at this point, I think maybe we have time for one more question. And I saw a question earlier about how the Appdome and Bitrise partnership works. So in summary, when you use Bitrise, for all the developers who are using Bitrise today, you can, as Jen showed, add a step, the Appdome Bitrise step. You will need to have an Appdome license, but we can work with you on that so you can get the API key that you put in there that Jen showed you, and then you're off and running. So it's as simple as that. And we are happy to speak to you afterwards. So at this point, Christina, if you could help with the last polling question, which is, would you like to learn, thank you, more about Bitrise and Appdome? This is where we'd love to work with you to understand your needs, to go through and create a security profile, security set of recommendations for you, given what you're doing in Bitrise today, and the apps that you're building using Bitrise. And so great, see a number of people that are interested in following up. So we will absolutely do that. I'm sorry we went over a little bit today, but wanted to be respectful of your time. We understand your day, your time is precious. So thank you very much for spending it with us. And we look forward to following up with you.
Thanks,
Jen, did you want to add anything?
No, I just want to plus one what you said. Thanks everybody for joining. We hope you found it informative and entertaining. Please get in touch with either Bitrise or Appdome. We'd be happy to talk more and answer any questions you might have. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.